Space News Update, January 31st, 2024. Hello everyone, thank you for passing by my channel. I hope you are all happy and well today. I am Mari. This information can be seen as science fiction, or as the viewer sees best, and I post it for entertainment purposes only. Still, I take my information very seriously, and for whoever has eyes to see. If you are new to my channel, you should watch at least some of the past videos on this series, to grasp the entire context of what I am saying here. I will post links to those other videos, above and to the right of your screen. The Extraterrestrial, or big-nosed tall greys, the detachment that the higher levels of the Galactic Federation sent in their representation, and who had arrived in near-Earth orbit on the 31st of December, 2024, held high-level meetings with Earth Cabal Secret Society representatives in Antarctica Galactic Federation Underground Base during the weekend of the 27th and the 28th of January, 2024. Although the Galactic Federation is always saying that they act in total transparency, this is a blunt example of how they are being everything except transparent, because we have not been informed what the subjects of their meetings were, what they were doing there, and with whom they were talking to, even though we openly and directly asked for that information. It is quite obvious to assume that they did not inform us, because they knew that I would share it here with all of you. But what makes things worse is that they are not informing any other star race in Earth's orbit either, because we have asked the ones we have some contact with, and they said they have not received any such information. Yet, since some days ago we did get a hint of what was to go on in Antarctica during the past weekend, the Extraterrestrials were to meet with very secret Cabal members, of those who do not even have any public name, those who manage Earth and its governments from under the table. Those were to give the Galactic Federation a complete report of what are their plans for the near future of society on Earth, and the Extraterrestrials were to take that report in person to the higher Galactic Federation representatives, who sent them in the first place. And that is another important point where we can see a heavy lack of transparency, because as I've said before, those leaders are inaccessible to the rest of the star races who orbit Earth, mine included. No one knows who they are, and that can only be taken as bad news. Furthermore, the Extraterrestrial detachment that had openly informed everyone in Earth's high orbit that they would leave by the end of January, decided to leave an undisclosed number of Extraterrestrial diplomats permanently stationed in the Andromedan biosphere ship, Viera, which had been accommodating all of them during their visit. Who exactly decided that, and with what authority, is not known. This means that we will have the shady, dubious and tricky presence of Extraterrestrials, constantly scrutinizing what the other star races in Earth's orbit do, and constantly informing their superiors of everything that is going on. The Irma cats have informed, and told us why, they are not to be trusted. Making things worse, the main Extraterrestrial detachment which claims to represent the higher levels of the Galactic Federation, has now scheduled yearly visits to Earth's high orbit. At the end of each year, officially they will always arrive sometime every December. As I explained in the very first video on this subject, the visit and presence near Earth of the higher Federation's representatives is always associated with drastic, or at least important events happening on Earth, for example, the start of a major war, or an economic collapse. Needless to say, it is quite interesting, and even worrisome to see, that they will be arriving near Earth every year from now on, because of the logical implications. It clearly looks like they want to control something closely, from now on. The way the Extraterrestrial detachment twists and changes their schedule, for example now leaving representatives permanently here, looks to me exactly as the Cabal on Earth works, slowly but relentlessly advancing their agendas, using the baby step method. This is much like the old saying that states that to fry a frog in a pan, you must increase the heat very slowly, so it won't notice until it is cooked, because if you do so too fast, it would simply leap away. That is how they are controlling society on Earth. They patiently change things all the time, slowly letting the people conform and get used to the new normal, and those last are their very words, so they don't even bother to hide this. They also impose a law, or a so-called emergency regulation to face a problem, and then they claim it is only temporal, while the problem persists, but when it is solved, much of the new law, or new regulation remains in place. That was their full intention and plan in the first place, as they created the problem to sell the solution. Solution, law or regulation that remains after the problem is solved, and which the public would have never accepted without the artificial problem. I see the Extraterrestrial detachment, therefore the Galactic Federation, operating and proceeding in the very same way as the Cabal on Earth does, in every way, claiming transparency, when it couldn't possibly be more obscure, and changing their plans in an invasive way all the time, because too many star races in Earth's orbit would have asked themselves, and the Extraterrestrials for that matter, why they would remain here, if they are only representatives, but now their permanent presence here is seen as normal, habitual, and after only 1 month here. With this, we can once more see that the Galactic Federation, and the Cabal which controls Earth, are one and the same, only different levels of it. Contrary to at least most of all the other star races, who are more or less permanently in Earth's orbit, the Extraterrestrials do not have any star seeds in human bodies, or so it is claimed. When the main reason all those star races remain in Earth's orbit, is to monitor their star seeds, who are simply seen as more of them, as more members of their race, so they have the moral and ethical obligation to keep at least a small detachment here, to provide support to their people, even if it is only telepathic, non-invasive communication, of the type that their star seeds may even confuse with their own thoughts. Coming back to the Extraterrestrials and what happens right after they arrive here, even if they go away again after their visit, just as I said, important changes start to happen on Earth. It is still soon to know, but an example of this is the strong friction that is happening right now between Texas and the central government in Washington, D.C., about how to manage the border problems with the entrance of innumerable illegal immigrants. With this, many conspiracy theories are now saying that there is talk of civil war in the US. Let me remind you that whenever there is a conflict at that level, both sides are being controlled by the same Cabal power group, from under the table. This means that the conflict is artificial, and to cause a pre-planned outcome. And let me remind you of the deadly earthquake that struck Japan at the beginning of January, only hours after the Extraterrestrials arrived, and which looks more like an artificial offering to the Cabal's returning gods. Now let me say this, for those of you who may still think that I am unjustly bashing the Galactic Federation of Love and Light, and thinking that I have no idea of what it really is. What I am, and have been depicting in my videos here, looks nothing like what the New Age has been selling the public at least since the decade of the 70s, where it is said that it is a confederation made of positive and loving, benevolent light beings who can only have our best interests in mind. So, it may be easy to conclude that what I have been describing here is not the Galactic Federation, but it is, because I have this organization here close at hand, and I can tell you that there are many levels to it, and it is not as described with that New Age wishful thinking, everything is good, mentality. Everything is complicated, much more so when involving thousands of very different star races, who have been forced to cooperate and mingle with one another. Furthermore, there are also levels to it that depend on densities, and the perception capacity and agreements of each group of people and individuals. What the New Age describes as the Galactic Federation of Love and Light does exist, but it is at another level, another much lighter density, in the higher astral, where things are much lighter and where integration is much more advanced, therefore it only can flow with love. But people there, if we can still call them that way, don't need clumsy metal starships to move around because they have mastered the perception of distance, locations, and time. I just described this in my video about light beings, published just 2 days ago. So, the Galactic Federation has many levels, and the very name does not, and cannot apply to all those levels, but even though some parts of what the New Age describes to be the Galactic Federation of Love and Light may be true, they do end up mixing those higher planes of existence with the lower and denser ones those of us who inhabit biological bodies must live in. Mix that ends up being highly unrealistic. But even though this level of the Galactic Federation is also said to be good, and many people, not to say star races, are good individuals, there is still a bothersome angle to all of this, and it is that even though they may have their very metaphysical reasons not to intervene, and even though they may see life on Earth as a game, from our point of view as incarnated individuals, on Earth or off-planet alike, there is a big problem. And that problem is that no matter from what angle you may study the complex situation on Earth, or from what density or existential level, it is always unethical to be permissive towards the real suffering experience that is happening on that planet. And I say this, being well aware of the soul and consciousness expanding effects of hardship. A final note about my last video about light beings: there is something that is not clear enough, and it is that we are all light beings, the real people, not the NPCs, and not the egregores, which more often than not are aggressive demons. It is often said that a soul seeks expansion, as in one day they will finally come to the level of a light being. This expression may only be used for explicatory reasons, and may be highly misleading. A soul is already a light being by definition, and they are only playing not to be one while incarnated in a biological body, for very complicated reasons. A soul is only in the process of remembering what it is, a light being. Be enlightened by not seeking enlightenment. Seeking will only keep you in the state of search, and of incompletion. You already know what's best for you, so don't let the unconscious programming of the mind keep you repeating those destructive routines, just because it is easier to follow what is expected you should be doing at each time. I think this is a subject to go into in detail, with another video. So this will be all for today. Thank you for watching my video, and for liking and subscribing. I appreciate it a lot, and I hope to see you here next time. Take care. With much love, your friend, Mari Swaruu.